This is the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast, where we have conversations with everyday martial artists about their histories and how martial arts influence their daily lives. You are listening to the abbreviated version of this podcast, which is the first 20 minutes or so of the show. Please consider supporting the show by subscribing on our Patreon page, www.patreon.com/MALMAG, and for about the price of one coffee shop coffee per month, you can get access to 4 new podcasts each month, 1 week before their YouTube release dates. You also have access to all of our existing shows, which at this point is about 100 hours of shows for you to enjoy. Individual shows can be purchased at our Gumroad page. That is malmag.gumroad.com. If you're looking for some sticks for FMA, some cool t-shirts, or even a course on Dos Manos, have a stop by martialartslifestylemagazine.com and click on the store tab or on the courses tab for that course. This week I get on Zoom and I go back to Canada, and I'm talking with martial artist Rob Doley. We talk about how he got into martial arts, sparring with some famous PKA kickboxers, old school training, and how the Great White North comedy skit came to be, and much more. Sit back and enjoy. Welcome to the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast, and I'm back to Canada on Zoom again. We're here real quick under the recommendation of Ray McKinnon, who you guys remember from episode or 2 ago, and Ray was recommending someone named Rob Doley, and right away we made that happen. It's pretty cool. I gotta say, Rob responded quite quick, and here he is. So welcome, Rob Doley, to the show.
Great, yeah, good. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, I appreciate the chance to share a few stories with you.
Yeah, that'll be great. I think you might be our first actual referral that I think I jumped on, and I get names all the time, and I write them down. And this has been such an interesting project, and I'm sure the audience is going, "Oh my God, you're going to tell this stupid story again? How many times?" And it's just basically it's a quick story. It's just when I thought of doing this, I made a list off the top of my head of people, and I knew I was going to put them out once a week. And when I counted it up, I realized I had about 2 years worth of people just off the top of my head.
Wow.
So that was kind of cool. And I knew that as I went along, as I talked to people, other names would come up, and it would be either people I knew, or it would be people talking about people that in their interview that sounded like, whoa, that's an interesting person that would be great to be on here. And I think you're the first one kind of that situation where it's been someone was talking about someone, and I went, yeah, that I better talk to that person. And of course, Ray, he's like, well, I'll make that happen. I was talking to him. I said, Jeet Kune Do? I said, I love that guy when I was growing up, PKA karate. He goes, yeah, I'll hook you up. I'm like, hell yeah. So it's just like a lot, Ray's going to connect, that guy.
Yeah. Jean-Yves Thériault. Ray's had Jean-Yves at his school a few times in Nova Scotia. And Jean-Yves, he really supported the amateur kickboxing back in the day. It's all MMA stuff now. Unfortunately, kickboxing has kind of died out. But anyways, in the heyday, so I ran an amateur kickboxing school also. And I've had some of my fighters fight his fighters. And I've had one of my fighters beat his fighter. So I never let him down. Oh, Jean-Yves.
Nice.
Tony T Black. Yeah. So
that's so cool. That is so cool. Yeah, he was a big deal. I mean, when in the 80s, when PKA was on ESPN, and that was I'm 55 here in October, so I was like middle school and high school in the 80s, graduated in 87, so that was like all my period of time of starting martial art. And my first teacher was a PKA competitor back in the day. His name was Ulysses Owens. And his wife, Mary Owens, was one of the female fighters. In fact, in her third fight, I think she knocked out the Canadian champion. So when I met her, she had a record of 4-0. She was ranked number 1 in the world. And that was in the first class I got in. I had to spar her as a 12-year-old. So I got, I got a good dose of reality. She was nice, I'll give you that. But man, when she just laid a cross into my chest. And I was like, whoa, okay, hello, good morning. This is 9 o'clock in the morning on a summer day, and I'm getting punched in the chest by this world champion, like female kickboxer. This was great, you know. But those, that was cool stuff. I mean, I love that. And
Yeah.
I'd love to do a deep dive, because this whole podcast is part of a larger magazine project, and I'd love to do a deep dive into the PKA, the kickboxing of that like '80s era, and some of those really great fighters, because I remember Jean-Yves on ESPN just watching those fights all the time, and it's like we would drop everything. I know me and my buddies to watch that stuff. It was so cool.
Yeah, I used to record it on the VCR. Yeah. Oh, fights are coming up. I'm going to record that. Yeah. Jean-Yves Thériault, Big Bad Brad Hefton.
Yes. From Rockford. Yeah. That was just up the road from me.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. I grew up in Illinois. So yeah, Bad Brad was Rockford's like, Chicago is like 2 hours away from where I grew up. So Rockford would be on the way to there and then up a bit north. But so it wasn't quite 2 hours, but like hour plus or so away. So yeah. I mean, Illinois, you're just like, oh, they're from somewhere close, meaning anywhere within 5 hours. You're like, yeah, okay, local. Yeah, right.
I used to get a kick out of him because his trainer would slap him in the face, and he would,
yeah, that's right.
Go get him, right?
Oh my God, I forgot about that till you brought that up. And then he'd have that face. You're like, oh my God, I don't want to fight that guy. He looks like he's about to bite him.
Now in amateur kickboxing, we had one fella from the Magdalen Islands. Now the Magdalen Islands, like even the Canadians don't know about the Magdalen Islands unless you're from kind of around Atlantic Canada. But even then, it's their islands, part of, I think, Quebec, or is it France? I can't even remember. But anyways, they're really, really nice islands. So this guy was from there, and I saw him fight 3 times, amateur, and I'm telling you, Tim, you look at his face and his eyes, his pupils, you couldn't see any color part in his pupils.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're dilated, right? And we all said, yeah. And he just went. He just went 100% full speed, well, probably 120% full speed, and he didn't stop till he knocked the guy out. So we all said that, yeah, we need to bring in, and it's amateur, right? So we said, this guy's on something, right? Like that's abnormal. Like you can get yourself psyched up, whatever, but his eyes are kind of the telltale sign, right? So anyway, it was an interesting thing. I don't know whatever happened to that fella, but yeah, that guy was like, he reminded me of Brad Hefton, right? I went, oh, but then I went, yeah, his eyes are a little bit different though, right? So, but anyway, interesting. Amateur kickboxing was really lots of things in there, and again, because it's amateur, like people not showing up for fights, and I'm sick, or like, come on, it's like it's the day of the fight, and now you're not going to come out, like you're.
Yeah, I'm sick, aka butterflies in the stomach. I get it, or drank too much the night before. I guess being from. It's funny. I say being from the Midwest, and I always relate. Again, everyone's like, "Oh, you say this all the time," but Canadians to Midwesterners. I think that's why the part of the U.S. I grew up in, I think we related to Canadians so well. It's because our sense of humor is so similar to Canadian humor. Because we used to watch all the old SCTV, all that stuff. We loved all the Canadian humor. We loved it. It was like big for us. So then, of course, all the Canadian rock bands, we liked all that stuff too.
Yeah.
So I think we felt, we're kind of like very similar. And so, yeah, it's like, nah, dude, you're probably either scared to death of your thing or you're out drinking the night before too much.
Yeah. So you remember Bob and Doug McKenzie?
Hell yeah. Take off to the Great White North. Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah. So I mentioned them to the younger generation now. They go, well, who said? I said, well, here, there's all kinds of YouTube clips, and they think they're just hilarious, right? Because they're funny, right? And that whole skit was done because they had, I think, a minute and a half left in the program. They're saying, what are we going to do to fill that time? And Bob and Doug McKenzie, I can't remember, Rick Moranis, and I can't remember that.
Yeah, Dave Thomas, right?
Dave Thomas, that's it. Yeah. So they said, well, we'll just wing it. we'll get some real beer. That was real beer they were drinking, by the way. Just get some
Don't
real
doubt
beer,
that.
and we'll just make it up. We'll just make up it. So that's what they did. Every episode at the very end, they would just say, "Yeah, here's the Bob and Doug McKenzie Great White North," and they would just
Oh
wing
my God. It was so good. You know, every Christmas I still play their version of the whatever
Oh,
was
the
it
12 Days of Christmas, or
12 Days of Christmas. Yeah.
yeah,
In fact, it's the version I prefer. It's like what do you mean the traditional version? No, this is the version I like.
yeah,
Five golden toques. I mean, come on.
yeah, yeah, and a beer. I think we should.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a little bit short. It's lacking there, and a beer and a tree.
in a tree.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is good. That's what kind of makes it charming. Like, well, okay, it doesn't quite fit. Okay, it makes it even better.
yeah,
You know, there was a funny bit down here because the fast food restaurant Wendy's,
yeah,
hamburger restaurant. The
yeah.
owner of that, the creator, was named Dave Thomas, and so they
Yes.
did a bit on. I want to say it was SNL maybe, where they had Dave Thomas of Wendy's and Dave Thomas the comedian, and they're like, "Oh, well, which one of us is supposed to be here?" And the one guy's like, "Yeah, we get confused for each other all the time," and it's funny because they don't look like. It was a really good bit. I wonder if I'll have to see if we can find that on YouTube because that was actually pretty funny.
That is a good one. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
good.
SNL did that a bit. They did that with Paul Simon too. So there was Paul Simon, the musical artist, of course,
Yeah.
famous Paul Simon. Then there was a senator from Illinois named Paul Simon as well, and he was like a politician who wore a bow tie and he had glasses, so he looked like your atypical nerd guy. And they did a whole bit with him too, with the two of them, where they were both like, "Yeah, we get confused for each other all the time." Really pretty funny, really pretty good.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
my gosh, we should talk about you because it's your
Well,
show.
well, you mentioned sparring against the PKA lady there, the person's wife. So
Yeah.
so Johnny did a seminar up here one time, like on one of the kickboxing cards. He stayed and did a seminar on the Sunday after, whatever. So, anyways, one of the things he does sometimes he lets people spar with him. So I
Oh, that's
put my
cool.
hand and I got to spar with him, and it's on. I was going to say videotape, but that's really dated, right? So it's been recorded,
Yeah.
been videoed, right? So I've got that
Yeah.
somewhere on my Facebook. Remember in Facebook, you could have Facebook groups, and then Facebook put out this big thing. Oh yeah, we're getting rid of all the groups. You have to turn everything to a page. So I create
Oh,
a page.
really?
Oh yeah, they were threatening to say, "Oh yeah, we're going to wipe out the group. Nothing's going to be there. Make sure you switch to a page." And so I
I mean,
switched
it
to.
makes sense because they love to fix things that aren't broken all the
Oh,
time.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I kept my group, and then they never got rid of groups. So I got a group
I
and
was
a
going to
page.
say, yeah, because I thought I still have several groups. I didn't think they quite turned into. I know
Yeah,
I have pages and I have groups. I have both, but
yeah.
yeah,
So
interesting.
I've got that video on
Oh, that's cool.
somewhere there. And so anyway, so I don't know how long I expired, but yeah, I knelt down. When I had enough, went down on one knee. I said, yeah, that's good.
That's cool though. I like that when those guys do that, and it's quite a risk, but at the same time, for those, it's not a risk if the people are cool, but they're
Yeah,
always going to have that idiot in there that's not cool. And I've
yeah,
seen, you were telling me about him doing that, which is amazing. And then I've seen, I think it was Senachai that maybe was doing that. And one of the guys from our school got a chance, and I saw the video of him going in there and sparred with him. And he was, like our guy was, his name's Daniel Park. Daniel Park's a great guy. So, I mean, he went in there knowing full well, like, yes, this is a learning opportunity for me to go in there and play, and we're going to play. And Senachai was
yeah,
great with it, and you could see that. And
yeah,
then,
good.
John Jacques Machado does that a lot with jujitsu. He'll let people roll with him, and like at Legends, I think it was. I remember seeing this, and I saw the gamut of people who came in there that were like, "I'm a white belt, and I'm just trying this out," and they had the courage to go up there and roll with him, and they were smart, and they were trying exactly the things that he showed them,
Yeah,
and he was like just so gracious and really played the game. And then you saw there was one guy that went in there, and I could tell by his energy. I'm like, what do you think you're going to do? Do you really think you're going to take out this multi-world champion? Like, you're going to give him a challenge? And John Jack tapped him in 4 seconds.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's what you want to do? Fine. Boom. What do you want? You want the notch on your belt that I've tapped you? Okay, there you go. Good, done. Go sit aside. Let me. Yeah. And then, I mean, he was nice about it, but at the same time, you're like, what was that? That was really just kind of dumb. But whatever.
Yeah. That well, yeah. So sparring with Jean was exactly like you said. Was there was cooperation? I mean, we weren't playing, but we weren't going all out or trying to hurt each other. It was a nice level, very comfortable. It was good, very well controlled. So I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. And actually, Ray videotaped it. He's the person that videoed it.
Aha.
I said, Ray, here's my phone. Make sure you get this. Right?
100%. Hell yeah. That is so awesome. I love it. I really do. Well, Rob, let's kind of go back to the origin. Let's go back to how you got started in martial arts. So, when and how and why and with who?
Yeah. So, yeah, well, I'm one of those, I don't want to say how old I am, but I'm just an older guy. And
well, yeah, like me. Let's say we'll call ourselves well seasoned or fine wines.
Yeah, exactly. So
we're like a good cheese or a good wine, something like that.
Yeah. So I like that. Yeah. Or both, fine wine and good, right? So
yeah, exactly.
So I grew in my influential years in my teens and teen years. That was when the big Bruce Lee craze was on.
Yeah.
So we had heard about, and because people that didn't live through that era, they don't quite understand that because they weren't there, right? Which is a whole bunch of stuff I like to talk about. But anyways, about Guru Dan, when Guru Dan says, I was there. Anyways, but we'll get there in time, right? So
yes. Can't wait. This is the stuff I love.
Yeah. So just on, and we knew about Bruce Lee because of the commercials, because they were rated R, right? And I couldn't get in, right? I'm not 18 years old. I don't even look like I'm 18. But the commercials on TV for the Chinese Connection, we thought he had a whip in his hand. He was whipping people, right? Instead of the nunchucks, right? But just a commercial. So I remember as a kid, I would like watch the TV and the commercial would come on for the Chinese Connection. And I'd just be like, oh, and I'd see the whole person, and I'd run outside, kick garbage cans in the trees, and I'd just be, because I'd be pumped, right? Like, I just, oh man, that's so cool, man. And he's got a whip and he's whipping people. And then later my brother said, no, there's two clubs with a chain in between them. I said, no, just whipping. You can hear tsh, tsh, tsh. He said, no, I'm telling you, it's two sticks with a chain in between them. So being good Canadians, so we took our hockey sticks and we cut them into sticks and then took a screw in with a chain and put it into the end. So we
okay, so I'm going to tell you what, I understand dedication now like I've never understood dedication before. If Canadians are going to defile their hockey stick, right, that is dedication right there, folks. You don't know if a Canadian's going to give up a hockey stick, two hockey sticks for that matter, or whatever. That is some dedication, folks.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we would pick the worst hockey stick, mind you, right? But it was still our hockey sticks.
Exactly.
Yeah. So actually, I just cleaned in my basement there, and I came across. I should have brought them up. Actually, anyways, but I did find them. Yeah, it was a Bobby Hull hockey stick, also.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I'm a Chicago Blackhawks fan.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's what I kind of. That's what I grew up on too.
Yeah, you said you're from Chicago.
Outside of Chicago, by a couple hours. So the funny thing is, my one of the earliest toys, cool things I remember having as a kid that if I had space, I'd love to get another one. Was that rod hockey game? Where it's got like the handles and you pull to move the guys. Yeah. So my teams were the Blackhawks and the Canadians.
Canadians, yeah.
Yeah, that was the two teams on my rod hockey game. Yeah, that was so. As a kid, you kind of sometimes you don't know super in depth of different things, and so those are like obviously my two favorite hockey teams because those were the two I knew because they were on my game.
Yeah. Right on. So getting back, so right on. So coming back, so there's this Bruce Lee stuff going on, and there's commercials, and I haven't been able to go see a Bruce Lee movie, but my brother wasn't even that old enough to see one. But anyway, so in 1973, in September 1973, I don't know what's going on in the world, right? I'm still a kid, so to speak. So there is a karate school, Shituru Karate, that's going to start teaching, and they taught last year too. So they were located in a village close by where my village was located, and they sent an instructor down to our village, and he taught 3 times a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So I joined that, and because I want to be just like Bruce Lee. So
Right.
and my brother was studying judo, and he came to the karate class too. Now at that time, the Kung Fu TV series with Carradine was popular
Yes.
too, right? So that was cool too, right? So and again, didn't know all about the history of how Bruce Lee developed the concept of it and all that kind of stuff, right? So anyway, so we're all pumped, and I say, "Oh my God, my brother, he's doing judo, now he's going to do karate. He's going to know kung fu," because we didn't know anything, right? So now he quit karate. He didn't. It just wasn't his thing, right? But I studied it. So I went from September to June, and then in June we were supposed to have our grading for our yellow belts, and we found out that the instructor, who was a blue belt, but as you know, in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, some of the blue belts teach classes, right? They may not have their own school, mind you, right? But they teach. So we didn't think anything wrong about this, but apparently that was a big no-no. So none of us got to go to the grading. So,
Oh.
so none of us got to go to the grading, and then the summer comes and goes, and then it's going to start up again. And we hear there's a karate class that's starting again, but it's only going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays, no Saturday. But it's not the same guy as before. We said, well, we don't want that guy before. No, it's a different style. It's Shotokan. So Shotokan came there. So I stayed with them. I stayed with the Shoto. I went there and I stayed with them until I got my fourth to my purple belt.
Mm-hmm.
And then my instructor.
And this concludes the abbreviated version of the podcast. Please consider supporting the program by going to www.patreon.com/MALMAG and subscribing to the show. You can also purchase this individual episode or any individual episode at our Gumroad page. That's malmag.gumroad.com. Thank you for listening to this episode with Rob Doley. Coming up next week, I connect to New York, and I talk to an amazing young lady who is doing Filipino martial arts, not only as a martial art, but as a cultural experience. Kristen Cabildo. Our Malmag online store at martialartslifestylemagazine.com has a full selection of Timmy B's brand sticks for FMA and Krabi Bong. Timmy B's brand now selling in Japan as well. Beautiful Timmy B's brand shirts and Dos Manos shirts are available with new t-shirt designs and more products coming soon. An online course in the Dos Manos method for FMA is available under the Courses tab. More courses coming soon. Check out the Places to Train tab to find schools near you, and click on the events calendar page to see what seminars and events are happening all around the world. And of course, visit our main page for articles on the martial arts. Music by Jack Al Relic. Martial Arts Lifestyle Magazine and the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast are trademarked and copyrighted by TNT LLC.